Finnspired Sino Talk aims to create a platform for Chinese scholars and students to share their thoughts and ideas inspired in Finland, and for Finnish citizens to share their thinkings and ideas in related to China. The ultimate goal of the initiative is to enhance the communication and cooperation between Chinese community and the Finnish society, and enhance the international understanding of China and Chinese talents. And today's Finnspired Sino Talk, the third event, is co-organized by CSSA-Tampere and Sino-Finnish Education Research Center in the University of Tampere. And this time, it's our great honor to have two distinguished guests, Mr. Zhijun Yang from Chinese Embassy in Finland, and Mr. Sakri Puisto from Tampere City Council, to talk about science and technology in China and Finland and in Finnish-Chinese cooperation. Our seminar includes two talks by two guest speakers, and each talk will last around 40 minutes. In between the two talks, there will be a short coffee break. After the guest talks, we will have around 30 minutes for our discussion. Now it's my honor to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Zhijun Yang. So Mr. Yang is currently the first secretary, head of science and technology section in Embassy, the People's Republic of China in Finland. He was held in this position since January 2017. He has been working in the Embassy of China in Ireland and Poland, earlier also in science and technology section. Besides diplomatic work, he also has rich experiences in Chinese international scientific and technological cooperation. Now let's welcome Mr. Yang to talk about science and technology development in China and in Finnish-Chinese cooperation.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chancellor, it's my great pleasure to be invited to take a presentation. I'm very happy to visit Tampere. This is maybe for third time. And before, I know Tampere is a very active city, especially in R&D. I also visit Huawei R&D Center and Powervision, another Chinese company, R&D Center in Tampere. I also have the meeting with the business Tampere. They also introduced a lot about the R&D Center, about the Tampere. So it is my great pleasure. Today I would like to briefly introduce the science and technology of the China, and also about the China and Chinese-Finnish science and cooperation, science and technology cooperation, and also because you lot of people sit here, you do some research, and also I'd like to introduce some funding opportunity for the research, and also for the commercial company, I would like to introduce some information about Chinese-Finnish high-tech commercial cooperation. This year, 2018, is a very special year, as you know, because this year is the 40 years anniversary of the China's reform and opening up. So all the Chinese people this year, we are celebrate this year and make a conclusion to find what we done in the last 40 years and what we should do in the future. Of course, our President Xi Jinping has announced that we will continue opening and continue reform. That is the tendency of the future. What we do in the last 40 years, the first, I think I should introduce a little about the economic achievement. Now we are the GDP, talk about the economic of the country. GDP is a very important index. Now GDP of China is 12 trillion US dollar, and China is the second largest economy that you have already know. And this is growth at the average of the annual average is the 9.5 average. In these few years, the growth average is lower, but still grow not so late, not so slow. This year is almost 60.5%. It's enough fast. And we would like to, normally this year, a lot of data in China we compare with the 40 years ago, that is 1978. So our GDP now is 117 times compared with the 1978. And the industrial added value, now China is the world's largest manufacturer country. We always said we are a very big country for manufacture. But in the future, we hope we are the big country also for the innovation. For the manufacturer, annual growth rate is 10% about, and 53 times increase. And foreign trade, annual growth is 14% about, and total import and export of goods increase 198 times, and service trade increase 147 times. Total our foreign investment is about 2 trillion US dollar. Now we are the biggest trader of the goods in the world, and we are also the major trading partner of the more than 130 countries in the world. And we are also, here means we are also the world's largest tourist country, tourist market actually. Yeah, the words, these figures looks very nice, but as you know, we have very big population. We have 1.3 billion population. And our Prime Minister said, because we are a very big country, big population and big territorial area, so everything if divided by our population is very small, just like our GDP per capita. As you know, our GDP per capita 2017 is about 8,800 US dollar. It's similar like, I checked the history of the Finnish GDP, it's similar like 1982, more than 30 years before. So, what I mean is that, yes, last 40 years we did a lot of work and we got the great achievement. But the result still we are working forward, continue working forward. Now, the GDP of Finland last year is 46,000. Is about five times than here. But last 40 years, we still got the tremendous growth. Because at that time, 1978, our GDP per capita is 56 US dollar. And another great achievement that in last 40 years, we got many people get rid of the poverty. How many? The number is very huge. Is 700, more than 700 million people. We get rid of the poverty. This is also another achievement, I think. Now here is some the information about science and technology of China. When we talk about the science and technology, normally we must mention that R&D investment, because R&D investment is the very important index of the science and technology achievement. The total number of the R&D personnel, now we are the first, number 1 in the world. Last year, our R&D personnel is about more than 6 million, is more than Finnish population. And if we talk about full-time equivalence, it means that not all the people, they are work R&D as the full-time. If equivalent as full-time, there is still 4 million people. It's 6 times compared with the 1991. R&D expenditure, now we are the second in the world. The total R&D expenditure is 251 billion US dollar. This number is RMB. Now we are up the total R&D expenditure equivalent the 1/6 of the global R&D expenditure is 123 times compared with the 1991. And also the GDP expenditure as the percentage, R&D expenditure as the percentage of GDP is also very, very important index. Now our percentage, we also call it R&D investment intensity. Now our index is 2.13. Now it's not so low because the average of the EU is 2.03. It's a little higher than average of EU. But compared with the Finland, we're still lower. Now Finland is 2.9%. Actually, maybe you'll know the highest percentage of the R&D in Finland is about 9.3. But in these years, it's because the economic situation is a little lower. Also, our R&D outputs, our scientific paper global ranking, and CI is second one, and EI is the first one. The citations of science paper is second in the world. And also invention, patent application, and authorization is number 1 in the world. Our advantage in the area is chemistry, material, physics, engineering, mathematics, geoscience. This area is close to the forefront of the world. There is a statistic that in total 180 emerging and cutting-edge technology research area, there are 30 fields in China is almost in the front, is performed very well, ranked second one in the world. The first one is USA. Now is some policy in China. Now we do. I believe a lot of Chinese students and teachers, maybe you must know 大众创业万众创新. We translate in English is mass in entrepreneurship and innovation. At the beginning, that was a slogan, but now there's a very, very big tendency of the China. A lot of people, they would like to have their own company, and all company now they are not only focused on the manufacturing. They are pay more attention on the implementation. And from the state level, we have also very important policy that outline of national strategy of the innovation-driven development. We would like to be a country of innovation-driven. And we also have the relevant law, for example, the patent law, the trademark law, the corporate law. Before we have, but now we just improve so that we can match with the internet. Our government did a lot of job in this area. And also before, just like before in Finland, and a lot of my Finnish friends said that Finland is a country of engineering. We have a lot of achievements, but we are not good at marketing to commercialize. Chinese people also like this. That's why we have the law on promoting the transformation of science and technology achievement. Actually, not only law, and we have a lot of this, for example, platform, we call it, for example, more than 7,000 makerspace, more than 3,000 incubator, all over the country, more than 400 accelerators, 19 national independence innovation demonstration zoo. This is a new idea from last 2-3 years, because we would like to have some area as the demonstration for independence innovation. And we have 156 national high-tech zone. National high-tech zone, we have already do this thing for 30 years. This year is the 30 years anniversary that we start to this plan for high-tech zone. Let's see, what is the achievement? The high-tech zoo is a demonstration area, also a platform, a pilot platform of the China. Now, the total GDP of this high-tech zone as the percentage of 11% of the total China. The R&D investment intensity is about 7%. If this looks like a country, of course it's not country, it's very high. Maybe it's the second one in the world. And also it's 3.3 times national average. National average is 2.13. And the patent is 10 times of the national average. And the number of high-tech company is about 78%. And it is interesting that the top 100 internet company of China, 96 is in high-tech zone. Yeah, that's why we call it the high-tech zone is the inch of the China economic development. No, we will still to development high-tech zone, but we will do more about the innovation independence demonstration in the future. Now we would like to mention some information about our achievement. Yes, in this last 40 years we did a lot of achievement. For example, the Beidou satellite navigation system. I don't know if you all have heard of this navigation system. All our mobile phone now has the navigation system. Before, this is the GPS from American. As we know, there is totally four systems. One is GPS from American, another from EU is Galileo, and another from Russian GLONASS. Now, our Chinese satellite navigation system is the number 4th in the world. Now we have already launched 43 satellites. But not all now is used. We totally launched 43 satellites for the navigation system. Especially last year, 2018, we launched 19 satellites. 1 year launched 19 satellites. Now is the fast speed of the launch satellite. Our goal is at the end of 2018. Now it's already achieved. Cover the Asia Pacific, this area. At the beginning, we only covered China area. Now it's Asia Pacific. We call it Belt and Road country. And we can see that this is the data of the 7 days ago. We can see that Finland is here. It's almost reached, but not yet. And for Finland, we can wait another 2 years, about until 2020. We will cover the whole world, and especially our Beidou system is a new system. It can communicate two-way, not only like GPS is one-way. So we have a lot of advantage, and this will promote a very big industrial in the world, not only in China, I think. And also, we have the Shenzhou spacecraft. Now we have launched Shenzhou number 11 in 2016. This is the sixth manned space mission. That means there's some astronomers inside. And the Shenzhou spacecraft docked with the Tiangong 2. This is the Tiangong 2. And this is a space laboratory, and two astronomers stayed about 30 days and landed successfully. And now we also just last few months we announced that we have our China's first large airline. Actually, this is not biggest one in the world, but before is Boeing in America and Airbus in Europe. Now and also Russia have the big airplane. Now we are the number 4th. But we are very happy that we already have. We hope we can grow even faster than before. And another achievement, I would like to know that the quantum communication. Now we have the world's first quantum satellite. This is for the secure quantum communication. Before, at the first step, we have the test inside China. At first step, we exchange information, transfer to the satellite and to here inside the China. This is in Xinjiang. We just mentioned that this is my hometown, about 2,500 kilometers. And finally, we established the secured communication between China. This is near the Beijing to Australia. The distance is 7,600 kilometers. This is good achievement, I think, especially for the future of the secure communication. And lot of people, when you visit China, especially the leader of the foreign country, they would like to try our high-speed train. Now our high-speed railway train is the design speed is 400 kilometers per hour, but commercially we run at 350 kilometers per hour. And actually we have several levels. The first one is 350 kilometers per hour. The second level about 250 per hour. Now it's the fast train in the world. And some people take the test that this train is not only very fast, it's run very smoothly. And some people make a test that to put a coin stand there, they can stand 1 minute. This means that it is enough move smoothly. And this is now we are the mile age is 25,000 kilometers and account for 66% of the global total. This we said that for vertical 1, 2, 3, 4, and for horizontal 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we have already achieved. In the future, we have the 8 horizon 1 and 8 horizontal 1 to cover all over the China. And high performance computer. In the last 4 or 5 years, our performance of the high performance computer is the #1 in the world. And from this year, this is the rank top 500, the list. Now this year, the #1 and #2 is from USA, #3, #4 is China. But the installation of the computer means that how many high performance computer we have. We have the more than 200. Percentage of the total world is 45%. And also we have the manufacturer. The top 3 is from China. And renewable energy. I've been in Finland for 2 years, and I did a lot of work to promote the Finnish renewable energy. Because in Finland, Finland do it very well in this area. Before, our basic is very poor. Now we do some progress actually, because our area is too big. So now is the installed capacity of the hydropower, wind power, photovoltaic is ranked #1. Especially, we're proud of that the renewable energy installed capacity has account for 36% of the total capacity in China. It means that the power generation accounts for more than 26% of the total power generation. That means that maybe 1/3 in the future, 1/3 of the power will from the renewable energy. This compare the big, huge size of the Chinese industrial. This also good contribution not only to the China climate change, also to the world climate change. And of course, this is the number of the total capacity. Of course, there is another index that is very important, is that the renewable energy as the percentage of total consumption energy. In China, this is very low. It's only 13%, but in Finland, it's very high. It's more than 30. So we have a lot of things to do in the future, and there's a big potential for cooperation in this area between China and Finland. And also, we would like to mention about some electric vehicle. Now we account for more than 50% of the world, both in the production and sales of the electric vehicle. I'm sorry, this ranking is from Germany, e-mobility index 2018, but unfortunately this is the Chinese one. This means every year the new car registered, the new electricity car or hybrid electricity car, this is the 117, 16, and 15. Compare China, you can see that we have rapid progress. Now, this index, China is the #1. And also this is the percentage of the electric car as the percentage of total car. Now it's only 2% in China, although it's already #1 in the world. We have big potential of this area. This index, we can see that this is technology. Our technology is not the #1 actually. We follow #5. But our industrial, this is the sector. We have big potential in the #1, and also market. We have the big market. You know, a lot of new technology is driven by the market. So we believe in the future we can do it better. I won't mention more about the technology, but I would like to also mention some company. For example, I believe you know Huawei and Tencent, and this is WeChat. A lot of people, almost all the Chinese people, we have WeChat. Also, a lot of my Finnish friends, they also have. And this is Tencent Supercell. Now they has already one company. That is the big investment from China. And we also have WeChat Pay and Alipay. And we have the Alibaba Group. And does anybody know what this means? Yeah. Yeah, this is not officially. We call it the new four invention. As you know, in ancient China, we have 4 inventions to contribute to the world. That is gunpowder, that is compass, paper making, and printing. That is invented from China, and that is a big contribution to the world. Now, of course, now the paper making and printing in Finland is very stronger than China. This is the new one, but this is not officially one. This is the kind of convene survey in Beijing, organized by the university students. They asked the international students from all over the world, about 20 countries, especially from the Belt and Road country. This means that developing country. Of course, some Belt and Road and in Europe is developed country. What kind of technology you would like to bring it to your family, to your country? This is the top 4. Is the high-speed train and Alipay and online shopping and bike sharing. Of course, this is not all invented by Chinese, I believe. So that's why they said this is new for invention of the China. That is not right. But I would like to say that in these 4 areas, we have big innovation and big promotion to the commercialize. Really, just like as an example, Alipay. Before I came to Finland, I stayed in China about 3 years after I was diplomat as in Ireland. At that 3 years, my wife is very happy because every day she only take a mobile phone, not any money, and she can buy anything. At the beginning, when we back to China, we looks very full. They said, "Do you have Alipay?" No. Oh, you don't have Alipay. Strange, very strange. Are you Chinese? Yes, I'm Chinese. And we can do everything, even at the side of the street. The farmer, they just sell some egg. They have the QR code. You just scan it and pay. Very easy and very popular. And also the bike sharing. I saw a lot of bike sharing in the Europe. Actually, this is invented by from Europe. Any other country in Holland, also in Finland, in a lot of countries we have such. But in China, we do it as a very huge industrial. Especially they said we have the new business model, promote a lot of investment. And also online shopping. I don't know if you know the Double 11. We got very huge sales on this. Actually, this is a website only from one company. This is great achievement, and this change every people in China, also every foreigner in China. A lot of foreigners now they have the Alipay. Otherwise, it's difficult to buy something. I mentioned a lot of our achievements. Actually, that is just some achievements. But I would like to also say that we have a lot of weakness. For example, innovative ability is not so strong. Just like I mentioned that we are our biggest country for manufacture, but we are the strongest country. We are not the innovative country. Well, Finland is an innovative country. I'm very glad that. So that's why I have a lot of things to do. Before I was diplomat in another country. I haven't a lot of work like now. I have not so many work to do. Now I'm very busy. A lot of Finnish people, Finnish company, they would like to promote their product, promote their business, and a lot of Chinese delegation, they would like to visit here, no matter government, official government, and the company. They have very strong wish to cooperate. Of course, Finnish people is very friendship. They are open mind for the Chinese market. That's why I'm happy I'm very busy. And also the contribution of the science and technology to the economy is not so high. It's only 55%. Innovative country should be at least 70%. I don't know what is this number in Finland. I believe it's much higher. Also, just like I mentioned, manufacturing is not so strong. And also, we have dependence upon foreign technology, bigger than 40%. And our native brand, especially for high-tech export, only account for 10% of the total. For example, all the Apple mobile phone, maybe all is made in China, but this is not our Chinese brand. Yeah, and last few months, maybe you heard that the story of we call about the chip of the mobile phone. And American, USA, they said they won't sell that chip to China. That is the big problem. So we must have our own core technology, especially the high-end chip and also the integrated circulate. Our technology should be improved. We have a lot of things to do. And now I would like to introduce some about the China-Finland cooperation. We have the agreement from 1986, and our Ministry of Science and from Finland. This is the alarm for the finish of this speech. 10 minutes, sorry. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Economic Affairs. We have joint session every year. And we have joint R&D project. In last year, DEGIS have the support more than 700 projects, 200 million euro for this project. Now DEGIS changed the name as the Business Finland. We also keep this program. And I would like to mention that maybe this is useful for you. This is the R&D project in China. That is the funding opportunity for the researcher. We have the Sino-Finnish joint R&D project. This is the picture from the website of Business Finland. You can check this. This call is just launched and will be end at the 10th of December. This is the area IoT factory. You can see detail medical science, smart and flexible energy, intelligent transportation. And I would like to introduce about this project. Actually, this project is co-funded by both governments, and the Finnish government supports the team from Finland, and Chinese government support from the team from China. Most Ministry of Science and Technology support about 2.5 million euro for 10 projects. And if you like, I can leave this slides to here. You can share. Yeah. And from Business Finland, they support. They said not limited. Typically, 100,000 euro to 1 million euro per project, but this is only from company. as the research institute and university, you may be the subcontractor, because we encourage academic industrial cooperation. We would like to the project that with the potential of the commercialize. Of course, Business Finland also have some other agreements, for example, with Jiangsu province and with Zhejiang province. They also have their funding. They have, for example, Jiangsu province, they have more than 30 projects was funded. And for Finnish researcher, academic of Finland also have their cooperation program with China, with the Nature Science Foundation of China, Chinese Academy of Science, Chinese Academy of Social Science, and they also support the researcher mobility to China. If you like to do some research in China for 3 months, you can apply this. And also there is the funding system between China and the EU. You may know that famous Horizon 2020. As you know, Horizon 2020 is a European program, but China is also as a member of this. We can join this, but Chinese scientists can't get the support from EU. So our Chinese government, if you already have your partner, Chinese partner, join Horizon 2020, you can tell them to apply the funding from Ministry of Science. This funding will also is already they just announced the calling, and the deadline is also 10th of December this year. This year we'll support 15 projects. And another is also support from the China. Yeah, for Chinese research team, you must have a partner outside any country. But our Chinese government will give you the support to do international joint research. This money actually, because this is strategic project, means bigger project. So the money is bigger. Average is 10 million euro each project. And it is good news that this call just announced, and the deadline is next year, January. So if you have Chinese partner have corporate research, you can let them know to find is there any possibility to apply this. For example, and of course, not between our China and Finland science and technology cooperation, not only the science research, we also have a lot of commercialized cooperation. Our investment, this number, $10 billion US, and now is the total investment. It's similar from China to Finland and Finland to China. Why it's just about? Because the way of statistic is not same, but this is just a number. And for example, the Nokia, Vasila, and UPM, Stone Solar, and Cornell, they have many investment in China. For example, Tencent, Huawei. I'm very happy that Huawei have the 2 R&D center in Finland. Actually, as you know, Huawei have many R&D center in the international, all over the world. Normally, each country we have 1 R&D center, but in Finland we have 2. One in Tampere, another one in Helsinki. And our vision, I don't know if you already know this. For example, AVID is for air purification. Alibaba also have the investment here. And also this, for example, augmatic, this is for silicon wafer. That is all of my presentation. I would like to say that I work in the science and technology section. Of course, I'm very busy. I only have one people to do this lot of work, but I'm very happy to help you to find partner in China, no matter research partner or if you would like to invest in China or you would like to commercialize your technology in China, you can send me email. Because we have such network all over the China to circulate the information, cooperation. This is work. I help some company find a partner in China. And of course, I'm very happy to contact with all, no matter Chinese or Finnish friends. And this is my contact information. Thank you.
Lecture. So now we're gonna have 20 minutes coffee break.
10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes coffee break. Let's listen to the boss.
Yeah.
So 10 minutes coffee break, and the toilet and the coffee and the refreshments are there. So
More
for
time. Okay, first, yeah.
So welcome back to our second part of the seminar. Please again allow me to briefly introduce our speaker. Dr. Sakri Puisto is from Tampere, graduated as PhD at the University of Cambridge. He moved to China after doctoral thesis for a couple of years. His background is in private sector companies, academia. He is currently involved in politics and he's also in the City Council of Tampere. It's our honor to have you with us here today. Please welcome. The floor is yours now.
Yeah, thank you and welcome, and thank you for the organizers, for the Chinese Students and Scholars Association, and thanks to Mr. Young for an excellent presentation. I'm very happy to be here. And my topic is China, Finland and Europe, perspectives on education, science and technology as I see it. And I also was requested to give my contact information, so here you are, this email, you have the underscore here, and I noticed that I need to reactivate my WeChat. I have it, but I took it off from my mobile phone temporarily, but it's with my name. I think there's a dot in my ID. So about my own background, I'm from Tampere. I was born here, I grew up here. I've been here in the schools, these universities I'm very familiar with. I've been actually giving lectures in this department 4 years or something, but only like 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year, something like that. I think I did it for 4 years, I think, something like that. It's always a pleasure to be in the academia. But I did my degrees in Cambridge, UK, so I did mostly physical sciences there. When I went there, I didn't know how long I would be there, but I did my bachelor degree, my master's degree, and my PhD there. My supervisor, maybe you might even know him, David King, Sir David King, who was advising the UK Prime Minister, Tony Blair and Gordon Brown. 10 years ago, he was quite famous there and promoting technology and science in the government, and the chief advisor in scientific and technological issues in the UK so big guy. And so that was about, I was there sort of 1998, I moved to England till 2004, and when I've been like 5 years in the UK, I was a bit tired of England and Europe, and I needed something different. It was too small, and so I became very interested in Asia and China in particular, and I participated in seminars pretty much like this in London and Cambridge, and there were lots of seminars, and not many people followed China, what was happening, but I really became interested that what was going on, especially with the economy, and it was really like I saw that there's a lot going on, and China was about to enter the WTO, the World Trade Organization, in 2003, I think, and there was lots of discussion, but the sort of general public didn't get it, but the kind of small circles started to see that something major is brewing up there. And then I started to travel there, and actually it was my first trip to Guangdong province. I went for a holiday and to Hong Kong, and then to Shenzhen and Guangzhou and Zhuhai and these cities. And the travel agency made a mistake. I had to postpone my flight back to Europe by 2 days. And totally coincidentally in the airplane, just in the economy class, there was a guy next to me, and he was reading the South China Morning Post newspaper, the same article as I did. There was only one interesting article in that big newspaper, and he was reading exactly the same, and we started to discuss, and there's a long flight back, and we had discussed maybe 5 hours or something like that, and he knew everything basically, and obviously I impressed him somehow. But then he gave me my business. He gave his business card to me, and we stayed in touch, and I sent my CV to him. And the day after I submitted my PhD thesis, he invited me to come over to China to introduce his company. So he was a business owner, CEO of a company of about 10,000 people. So I went there after my PhD, and he made an offer, and I accepted, and there I was. So, but that was really good place to be, Shenzhen, especially that time. It was, I liked it a lot. It was, I would say, a bit chaotic, very fastly developing migrant city. Like nobody was born in Shenzhen, and really interesting. And these companies coming up, big Fortune 500 companies, and nobody spoke English basically outside the work, like on the streets. Not even in, you maybe know the Hilton Hotel there in the city center, not even there I think they spoke English. So Mandarin was the language. I didn't speak hardly any when I went before I got there, but that was really good experience. We discussed, I think I was visiting Shenzhen last time, like 3 years ago, I think, and it's really pretty city nowadays. It has changed a lot. Like, there were lots of, like, it was really industrial back then, and lots of these industrial companies still are, and lots of lorries, and very busy, and they were still building the metro line there. It was hard to move, but it's very, I like it a lot. It's one of my favorite cities in China, so I think it was the right destination, and nowadays I'm very impressed with Sichuan province, Chengdu and Chongqing, and that sort of what I like very much. So if I now went back to China, I would probably go to Chengdu or yeah, that's called Chongqing maybe, but it's like, yeah, 不要了, how do you say it?
That's impossible.
Yeah, 不要了. Yeah, so I was there, well, only 2 years, but I had sort of kept contact with China and ever since then. And then I've been working for private sector companies. I've been leading like this Business Finland R&D project, about 1 million projects on the upper end, like you mentioned, here in Finland on material science. I've been working with universities. A few years ago I was a visiting scholar back in Cambridge, UK. And then for instance, I've been a visiting professor in Argentina recently. And fast forward, I've been in politics. I was in the governmental negotiations in 2015 there in the working group of education and know-how. I have a number of scientific papers. And I worked in the Ministry of employment and the economy that you saw the logo there. I was the special advisor for the Minister of Employment, and now I'm also in the City Council. I've been also working for doing some work for some think tanks. For instance, in 2009 there's this wonderful EVA, it's the Center for Finnish Business and Policy Studies. They are located in Helsinki, so we wrote with a colleague of mine an article about China. This was in 2009. It was sort of like not many people followed what is happening in China even then, and it was a kind of lots of like highly positive sort of report. The title is China is shaking up sort of what is happening outside, like in technology and science and economy, and we wrote about the, for instance, the company acquisitions and what is going to happen. It proved to be pretty much right, what we discussed there. I have also written a couple of other articles on think tanks. So the development and transition in China, it has been simply enormous, mind-blowing, and I was happy that I sort of understood it many years ago, and it was, I would say, something that I expected in magnitude, but still I would say that it was something astonishing to see it, and that it happens in so many fronts, like in technology and science, and I consider that it's a massive change of historical proportions, and I would say that it's almost like a culture shock to go to China always, every time. And it's a culture shock to come back also. It's in a positive sense a culture shock to go there. And it's also very interesting to sort of compare how people here or in the UK, how they sort of understand and view the situation, because I think there are like basically two big pictures how people view. And for instance, e-commerce, when I was there, it was like quite minor thing. There was some like e-commerce there. I booked my flight tickets, for instance, and that kind of thing. But it was still, I think it got on like really like 2008 or 2007, around that time, approximately, like Taobao and others. And now it's like the leading country in the world, I think, in e-commerce. And for instance, it has been very interesting to see how the delivery logistics work there. So if I order a book, let's say from Amazon UK, it's here, I don't know, 3 days maybe, something like that. But in China, it's like, I don't know, a few hours, a day or something like that. So in many ways, it's very impressive. And also the Chinese companies, they have experienced a very rapid growth. So in Europe, we mostly see these companies like Alibaba and Tencent, but there's a lot more, and I think there's a lot of R&D that is done in a kind of local Chinese smaller companies, not these kind of tier 1 brands, but kind of tier 2 companies, and there's a lot brewing up there, and the corporate culture is it's very different from the Western company structure. And I think that in R&D, Chinese are doing R&D, but one way how Chinese are tapping into R&D is also through joint ventures and acquisitions of Western companies. And considering the foreign companies, I think there has been some news and studies that foreign companies find it a bit more difficult to be in China nowadays. If you have read, for instance, the American Chamber of Commerce reports, they usually say that also. I have talked with some company leaders in China, and usually they think that the competition is getting harder, and also probably also the other circumstances, but it's plenty of opportunities. And I think in science it's what I found when I was doing my self-science and scientific papers is to look for some areas of science that where there's limited background in Western universities or no a priori background. It's very interesting to see that Chinese research groups, either in China or maybe Chinese groups in the USA who are led by Chinese professors, they're usually coming to these areas, and it's very interesting to know this. And I think there are many areas that Chinese are coming very, very fast, and it's a mistake to underestimate the abilities. And also the Chinese universities are, I think, the best universities. They are really world-class universities and getting better. And it's also very interesting to see how there's a kind of how overseas Chinese, like you guys, basically, how Chinese are sort of considering where they want to go next. For instance, in the UK, I remember, like, let's say 2002 year, and many people want to go to the USA back then, or stay in the UK, or maybe move to Germany. But every year since then, I have noticed that more and more people want to go back, actually. There. And it's very, very nice to notice that. And I think that something happened in the year 2008, that some kind of self-confidence of Chinese people, it rose a little bit. And also I think the financial crisis in Europe and in the USA, it sort of had implications that still affect the economy here. And also interesting is to notice, for instance, The Economist magazine. I was really frustrated that don't they really understand what is happening in China, but nowadays, especially in the last year, it's like every second cover is about, like, here's Mona Lisa and Chinese flag, and here's China and America, and almost every second cover is about China, and so something has happened there too. And considering Finland, I think you know the basics, but we have a high number of engineers and scientists per capita. We have reasonably strong public research sector and good education system. Here is a graph about innovation index, and you can see that basically the higher the innovation index and the higher the GDP residence, that there tends to be a kind of tendency here, and Finland is there quite on top. And considering the R&D, Finland is again there, like numbers of scientists and the engineers per capita, we are there very high, and also the R&D as a percentage of gross domestic product. Yeah, this was 3.5. In your presentation it was 2.9. I think it's the most recent figure. This is from 2014. But anyway, it's reasonably high. And again, like there's a lot of share of innovative companies. It's again like very high. You referred to this figure also in your presentation. There, about 25%. But having said that, we have had this downsizing in manufacturing sector and industrial restructuring, especially because of this Nokia influence, and also some losses in the competitiveness of the nation. We have been a top education country, I would say, like almost the number one for a long time, but in recent years, sort of last 10 years or so, we have sort of a bit come down of that top position. We are still very good on that. Primary schooling, we are very high. I think that's real, but we have had some, if you notice, PISA results decreased in our ranking and in the results in the last years. Nobody really can confirm that what are the reasons. There are lots of public discussions and lots of opinions what has happened, but we see this kind of little decrease there, and I would say a divergence in results, that there's some kind of social erosion or something that some people have difficulties, and still the majority of people are doing very well. But something is going on there that is a little worrisome. Occupational schools, we have had a major reform in the current government, and it's the biggest educational reform in 20 years or so. I was there also negotiating that reform. We have like a funding issue. The funding was cut from the occupational schools quite a lot, and also there's a problem that the students that simply in their schedules that they have a bit like empty space there and not enough contact with the teachers. And this occupational school situation has been the news actually in the last few days even quite a lot, and there's lots of discussion there, and I hope that the funding situation can be solved and also the reform will work. The idea is basically to move the occupational schooling more towards the sort of private sector company type of working relationships. And the universities, as you know, the Finnish universities, they are pretty good universities. But I would still say that comparing, let's say, with the UK, that they've been a little bit stagnant over the last 10 years. So other European countries like the Netherlands or Denmark or UK, they have sort of developed faster in the last decade or so, and we have also developed, but not so positively, I would say, than some of our competitive countries. And commercialization of novel technologies, there has been some really good development there, actually at the sort of grassroots level. Going back to some 2004, 2005, we didn't have that kind of startup boom as we have now. Like in China, what you said, there's a big startup boom there, and many people want to be entrepreneurs, and that's something very positive here, that we are seeing that in Finland, and lots of these gaming companies and ICT companies and other types of companies also, and the financing also has developed quite positively. And this is very positive because traditionally it's the big corporations like Nokia and Kone and others, UPM, that have dominated the Finnish economy, but now the startups are sort of getting there. The state of the science, you are probably interested, you mentioned the Academy of Finland, they are publishing the report in December called The State of Science. It's in Finnish, but I assume that they have the English version there. They have a publishing event. Can't remember what is I think it's the 10th of December, again, 10th of December. You might want to check it. It's very interesting that sort of describes the Finnish science with various parameters. And the current Finnish government, they are having very ambitious targets in the so-called B, C, D and H sectors. B stands for bioeconomy, C for clean tech, D for digitalization, and H for the health sector. And these are the so-called Spitzen projects of the current Sipilä governments, and government has some extra financing for these programs. And so the basic problem has been that we have had these traditional cornerstones of the industry and the economy, like paper and pulp and electronics, telecommunications, but they have decreased in their role, and we have had to come up with some new legs for our industry and the economy, and these are the sort of competitive edges of the government and the economy for the future. And clean tech, it's very, very topical. I think Finland has very high prospects for that, especially for the energy efficient services, smart grids, smart electricity, smart water systems, I think you have lots of demand in China. You have this urbanization of hundreds of millions of people and big cities, and that's something. Also, Mr. Young mentioned RV Technologies, for instance, that is doing, I think they are doing indoor air cleaning. There's also another company, I think it's Lifa. They had, at least in Hong Kong, they had an office. So this is a big field. Of course, all these biofuels, waste management, biomass. That's a big thing. Bioeconomy, for several reasons. You have read all the sort of climate news, the climate reports. We need to sort of reduce the dependence on fossil fuels, and bioeconomy is expected to be the next wave of the economy after the fossil economy. There are global challenges, population growth, and thus we expect that increase in demand for bioproducts that form the foundation of the bioeconomy. And I think that's really a big opportunity for a country like Finland with large forest resources also, and forest sector, and the objective of the Finnish government is to increase the turnover from 60 billion euros to 100 billion euros until the year 2025. And one of the objectives is to increase the use of wood and innovative wood-based products. And we have a new kind of integrated cluster for the forest industry using wood, not only for the traditional wood products, but also for new type of products. Digitalization, big topic, big data, analytics, cybersecurity. We are very strong in cybersecurity, have been for a very long time. Internet of Things, IoT, 5G, that's also massive. Also in the city of Tampere we have Smart Tampere and a Digit project, and also to promote digitalization, to build a kind of industrial and commercial ecosystems. And health sector, a major topic also, and there, for instance, personalized healthcare and ICT in healthcare. And of course you may have followed, we have this SOTE reform, the social and healthcare reform, a major reform in the sort of the whole social and healthcare sector in Finland is organized and how the sort of private sector companies get a part there. And startup system in Finland, it has strengthened considerably in the last 10 years or so. This has been very welcome, as I said, as our economy has been based heavily, even too much, on the success of big companies. And also the former, what was called Tekes, now Business Finland, I consider that they have changed the sort of mode of operation quite considerably in the last 10 years. The sort of corporate culture there, they are doing lots of finance for these small and medium-sized innovative companies and also universities, and I'm quite pleased what I have seen there. Just on a kind of grassroots level, like I was leading a project with Tekes Business Finland, and I think they have adapted quite nicely. There was lots of critique like earlier, but the innovation and development has been good there. And also they are operating through these business incubators and accelerators. And also we have development and private sector funding. Traditionally, we have been lagging behind, for instance, Stockholm and especially UK, if you consider like private equity or venture financing or crowdfunding. But I think that sector is also developing now in Finland. And you probably all know Slush. It's famous. They are also in China. Been a few years there. Also, I think they have an event next week actually in Helsinki. Next week, Wednesday or something. Check it out if I've been there once. It's quite impressive. They have this Messukeskus exhibition center in Pasila, and it's really impressive, and they have lots of visitors all over the world. It's really inspiring event. And this basically came out of nothing. They were very small first, maybe these kind of premises and as in this university floor here, and then they expanded, and a few years ago they became like this kind of world stage for high-tech small companies. And technology trends for quite a long time, since 1980s, you mentioned the year 1986, no, I think that was the year when Nokia entered Beijing. Finland had invested in China quite heavily in the billions of euros, but for a long time China did not invest that much in Finland. We are talking about something like 100 or 200 million euros in total, but then I would say something like 2012 something happened, and the amount of investment has risen very heavily, and I think the pipeline of Chinese companies and collaborations here in Finland has increased dramatically in the last 5 years, and about the time when Huawei started in Espoo, that was a kind of landmark. And now there are lots of more investments and of Chinese companies in Finland, and President Xi was here a couple of years ago, met the president and the government here, and that was a big boost. And I think that there's a lot of capital in China, there's a lot of talent, it's gonna develop for a long time. I think Chinese companies, they will bring something new to the R&D sector of the world. I think one sort of trend is probably this kind of more rapid R&D that is done close to the production sort of site, but that is developed very fast also to the market. And I think this sort of time to market or time to money, it's something that Chinese are very good, and that will increase not only competition among companies in China, but in the world. And this has happened at the same time that in Europe and in the USA, that actually for the first time in 3 decades, in 2014, the public R&D expenditures actually decreased in Europe and in the USA. If you look at the OECD countries, actually South Korea is probably the only one or among the very few countries that have increased the R&D public spending, whereas many other European countries have decreased R&D spending, also Finland. And the Western universities have become more reliant on private funding. And that's also something that Finland needs to develop very fast. I mean, Finnish universities, they're relatively good, but they don't have this kind of, I would say, tradition of fundraising. Like I saw that UK, for instance, in my alma mater university, we had an 800-year anniversary in 2009, and the university raised more than £1 billion, a huge amount of money. But the Finnish universities, they are lacking behind, and that's something we need to do better, and I think the universities are getting there. It's a long process, and I think the Finnish universities need alumni organizations and they need to do a kind of long-term development there. Also, I think Finland has lots of opportunities in exporting education. We talked about this earlier also, and I would say that in the last couple of years they have also done quite nice progress there also to China. But there are lots of challenges in the Western economies. We have high levels of debt, not Finland so much, but many countries, Italy, USA, and that puts stress on our public economies. We have aging of the society, we have migration issues, we have a bit of erosion on social cohesion, climate issues, and in the middle of this we have, in my opinion, lots of like disruptive technologies that are coming up in these years. And one of the best, if not the best, report this public is this, I don't know if you know this, OECD Science, Technology and Innovation Outlook. This is from 2016, and let's believe this 200 pages of what is sort of happening in science and technology and innovation. They have also country reports and outlooks for different countries, and it's very, very good information. OECD centered in Paris. I was there a year ago also, 2 years ago they were presenting this report. It's worth looking. They published, I just noticed that 2000 report was published last week. So take a look. It's very insightful. I can show it to you if you are interested in this report. Maybe I can sort of circulate it there. And it's very interesting. And let's just take one graph from that report on different, what they consider like key and emerging technologies for the future. And they are very interesting technology areas. Advanced energy storage technologies will be very important for these electric vehicles, and we are electrifying the industry and the economy. Nanomaterials, synthetic biology. If you have followed, for instance, this CRISPR technology, this kind of genetic engineering that can be done quite easily, fastly, inexpensive technology, artificial intelligence, blockchain, satellites, lots of very interesting stuff, robotics, quantum computing, renewables. I think Finland is a strong role. So I want to thank you. It's very nice to be here. So.
Thank you for the conference. So now we have the questions and answer session now. So feel free to ask any questions to our two guests here.
Yeah.
If anyone. We don't have a microphone here. Just raise your hand and just fire away your question. Yes, please.
First of all, thank you both for the wonderful presentations.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Yannick Kohonen. I'm the coordinator of international education here at the University of Tampere. And first of all, thank you for your presentations, also which were not only like marketing hype. You mentioned where we are lacking in education and funding for the universities, so it was very refreshing not to hear only uncritical praise of our own system. But this is of course about science and technology today, but since our new university that emerges next month, well after next month, we will have 3 pillars. Technology, health, can be also included in this science field, but also social sciences. And when we think of investment and technological cooperation, how much do you both see possibilities for humanistic or social sciences approach to be included in these projects that also get funded? for example, human-technology interaction, or technology is used by people and it causes changes to the environment and people also. So not only hard technology, but let's think about concrete funding possibilities for things that are not only hardcore technology.
Well, at least I think that we should have it. And for instance, if I take just one technology area that I mentioned on the last page, this blockchain technology, that's something that is totally like digital. It's there on the ledger, distributed ledger, and even though it's like a sort of basically like a computer program, but the question is that how to get this human interface there, this kind of oracle that communicates and gathers the information from the public, so basically human beings. And that's really like a critical challenge there. And I think, in my opinion, we should have like all the sort of technology sort of merged or fused with this kind of human element, and we should take it into account in our funding. But I don't know actually how well they are taking it into account. It's a very good question.
Yeah.
Get there.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I need a microphone. So I'm Arto Hempla from this university. I'm actually a person for industrial collaboration, exactly actually for interactive technology.
Yeah.
So I'm not answering to this because I have something else in my mind. So what we discussed with Mr. Young also in the coffee break is that I think we should be doing something maybe in Finland, shared by all of us actually in this university and the others as well, for actually research export. Because it's very funny that Business Finland doesn't know this, they don't have a clue about this, and they don't recognize actually the benefits. Because now, as Mr. Young was also showing, they work only for export for companies to China and so on. And it's very funny because actually if we did research export, that would be net income for research. What is more important is actually that because we are a small country here, we do have nice companies, we do have international companies which can be leaders in certain sectors and so on. But we need much more challenges, which could be actually shown by the big companies. And it's also much more motivating for researchers to do something which is really important, which is really coming up in the world around us. It's much more motivating. And that can be done only with the big companies, because they have the resources actually to commercialize. They have also the knowledge because they have much more strategic design and development and planning and all kind of things. So they know actually what would be important to do. And we, for example, have faced in the Tauchi Research Center many things which we should have been engaged in making in this world, together with the big companies, which have now been launched to the market. We could have been doing it actually at the time when, as we see, they were developed. For 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and so on. So our knowledge level was actually at that level that we could have been doing it together with the companies, but we didn't. What's the reason for that? So it's a stupid situation. We should have been doing it. And so we should be working actually to make something for this so that to get it possible. And it's also interesting, Mr. Young was telling that, well, there is demand for knowledge, there's demand for innovation, there's many demands actually in China, which we could be answering. But maybe the traditional things which now is done for companies could be also working for us as well.
Could you give us specific examples of exporting research that you have in mind?
Well, we have been cooperating with Chinese companies as well. But there are a lot of other companies. It's the same also with, I was going around actually, it was already for 10 years ago. I was going around in Silicon Valley. So I was spending one summer there. And I had one person from FinPro opening doors for me. And it was really exciting learning lesson for me, because then I understood actually that I was telling for him as well, every company I was actually pitching in, every one of them were highly excited about what we do. They were highly excited about collaborating with us and actually making contracted research with us. We were not ready actually at that time for that. But it was good learning lesson for me because I was just telling true things about what we are doing and what we can do. And I learned actually that how good we can be, that we can be actually as good as anybody else, anywhere. And it was very important to understand, and it was just an opening for the understanding. So there is a market. There's really a market actually, and we should be there, and we should be finding ways of getting there. And that will be beneficial. I can promise it will be beneficial for our customers or clients, and for us, and also for the Finnish company, and or state, and also for the country. For example, for Chinese. So. Of course, there are many examples of what we can be doing. We are collaborating with almost all of those companies in your slides, actually, all the Finnish companies, with now the funding exchange, and so.
Sorry, but I forgot. Did you introduce yourself, like your background already?
Yes, I think I did, but anyway. So I'm Arto Hippula. So I'm working in the Tauchi Research Center in COMS, in the Communication Sciences.
So,
yeah.
In this university? Which organization?
In COMS, in the computers, communication sciences, faculty. Here in this house. Well, the next one.
Yeah.
Thank you. It will be the biggest faculty after the merger. Yeah.
And then it gets actually much more exciting because we do have the human things, because we are philosophy-based people. But then now it's going to be that we will have all the technology available on the tooth then.
Yeah, I think
for electronics and micromechanics and things like materials and so.
Yeah, I think your point is very interesting. But then maybe we need to think like what's the relation between university and companies in this research aspect and also governments. And how to coordinate this, because as I see, my background is in higher education, so I can see in educational aspect, actually now they're facing the challenge, like they are talking about educational aspect all the time, like from China to, from Finland to China, but then the relation between the government and then the companies or business and university, it's always a challenge to balance and also to find a common solution to really export the excellent educational resources to China. What I see is like there are more competition inside Finland. Actually, I think it's not necessary. I think if Finnish like university or all kind of actors, they work together to export educational resources to China. If they work in the same direction, maybe it will be more effective rather than now current situation. You can see different actors, they just competing inside Finland, but China is so large. The Chinese market is so big. Actually, it's not necessary to compete at all. So
yes, and it's funny. It's funny also because the funding is traditional, so that we are made to compete with each other all the time, and it does not actually support collaboration. Maybe. But then another thing is also that we have. This is not confidential, but you're working for Tampere anyway, so we have had planning together with TUT Technical University about this kind of larger project entities, exactly aimed for big companies, which is actually consideration of what all kind of services we could be offering for the big companies. And of course education, doctoral programs, things like that are included. And so it is actually the one and same thing, because it's always about knowledge. And also then our doctoral education system is very good, and luckily also the Finnish doctors are highly appreciated. And so, for example, that is very good offering for a big company, that we could offer them doctoral programs. So we can have their people here and make them doctors, and then they go back maybe if they want after that. And so of course it has to be a larger offering maybe for a big company. And of course we can consider, so we do have many kind of services, and we do have quite a good innovation system here, because we also do have the young company development tools here and processes and so on. So it's really much actually we could be offering, but it's difficult exactly what we were also discussing. It's very difficult to communicate because it's, you know, big thing. There are a lot of things actually which we can make and offer. So, and for that we maybe would need some national support, I don't know, but political as well. And because the cooperation has also been, can be, and it should be quite deep cooperation, maybe also at the national level.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Yang, you want to respond?
I would like to say some few words for your two questions. First, maybe your question. Yes, we talk about 10 minutes during our coffee break about the research export. As I understand, research export, the company, for example, you means, for example, Chinese company would like to buy your research. They have some problem or they have some topic and you do some research. And before, and I think this is at the former stage of the technology cooperation. Now it is very popular that both in China and in Finland, especially Chinese company, they would like to, you Finnish company, if you have some technology that can be commercialized immediately, you just said how much is it, I will pay. But if you said, if you give some funding, give me 5 years, and you just mentioned maybe 2-3 years, maybe I will do it, or maybe you promise you'll do it. But so far, a lot of Chinese company, they can't wait so long. Yeah, that is the problem. I think, but that is the tendency in the future. I do believe research export is a tendency. Just like you said, at the first, maybe from the top, from the government, maybe you should have some support, some measurement to support. For example, you said you compete each other, Finnish company, Finnish research institute, or maybe you can do something, go abroad under the one flag, under the one strategy. Another, I think, now you can promote your research. For example, VTT has already start to research their, start to promote their research export. Because they are very big, they can go into China to investigate, to know what is the real need of the Chinese company. But if you like government to collect what is your real need, it's difficult to see. Just like I ask you, can you provide me a paper, what you can do? It's really difficult. That's why I do encourage that we should communicate, should visit each other and know each other. For example, if you visit some company, of course they have the problem. They are waiting for solve, or maybe they need the next step strategy. If you can provide such service, it is good. But you must know what is their real need. This is first suggestion. You visit each other, communicate each other. Another suggestion is the people is very important bridge. For example, the students, Chinese students here, they study here, they know very well about the research system of the Finland. And they do some research after they graduate, no matter for Finnish company or Chinese company. And because they grow up in China, they know very well about the Chinese company or Chinese organization. For example, when they graduate, they back to China, and they can be very good bridge. They know both sides. So I remember that a lot of cooperation, successfully cooperation from the students, especially the doctor level or master level. For example, they study here, or they find they work in China, or they stay here to work. This is the very good bridge. We can use it. Of course, there is a lot of affair, for example, for a high-tech affair to show your technology. You can visit China if you have time. Yes, China is very big. We have a lot of such affair. If you just visit, if you have the proper time to visit China, I think this is very good. And for your question, I would like to say that social science is very important. Of course, it is very important, and I think both Chinese government and Finnish government is pay high attention for this. And we also just we mentioned that we have the Chinese Academy of Social Science. We also have the Chinese Academy of Science. That is mainly in nature science. And we have the Chinese Academy of Social Science. They have the agreement with Finnish Academy of Finland. They have an agreement. Maybe I believe they have the funding to support each other, but really I don't know about this. I think another tendency that it is not different divided. This is nature science or social science. For example, social media. You can use the bigger data to analyze what is the real need of the public. So you can research the social science with the nature science as a tool. So I think in the future it's combination. This is the tendency, I think.
You mentioned Finnish Academy. Just imagine the situation. So I'm staying in my subject, but just imagine the situation that the Academy of Finland would also have interest for this research export. They would be much stronger actually connected with the Chinese Academy. And they would be collaborating actually for transportation of academic knowledge, doing research, academic research together, funding it together and doing things, because there would be this kind of vision about getting the knowledge really exchanged between, because now they are funding anyway things separately a little bit. So somebody is doing some, maybe a weak connection between academic research between China and Finland, because the academies want to take care of their own business and all of that. But if they really would be having interest for bringing Finnish knowledge, for example, to China, maybe the other way as well, it would be completely different.
Yeah, I think Academy of Finland, they mainly may focus on the basic research.
Yeah.
As I understand, if you talk about export of the technology research, it is better for applied research, applied science. This means that it's more near to the commercialized.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
But it's interesting also because anyway we look for innovation anyway, also in the basic research. And what is actually feeding innovation is exactly change of environments and the circumstances and things like that. So that's exactly seeds for innovation when we combine two very different cultures actually while working together. So it's much more likely actually to create something new. And I think the need for research or science in this time world is really demand for big innovations for big problems. So.
Thank you so much for your discussion. So when you want, maybe next question. Yes, please.
My name is Katie, and I am an exchange student in University of Tampere. I have a question for Mr. Yang. We all witnessed the great achievement made in technology in China these years. But recently there's a news about Chinese scientists he encoded.
CCR5.
Yes, he encoded the gene of.
Knockout CCR5.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I know that thing.
You know that thing? Well, some people argue that it is unethical, it is illegal. But some people also say that if no one make this kind of movement, and there won't be any changes, let alone technology progress. So what do you think of this kind of behavior, and do you think it is justice and beneficial, or it is unethical, and what is your stance? What do you think of the relationship between human race and technology?
Yes. Yes, I also pay attention of this news that because there's a lot of news about this. And first, I think this is about the problem of ethics of the science. As you know, all the research program, when you start to do this research, maybe you should, there is approved by some committee.
Yeah,
We call it
committee.
ethics
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah.
So this is a kind of management of the science. And also, I think this is very clear that no matter from the scientist, from Chinese scientists, or no matter from the Chinese government, they said this is because this is not fully approved by the ethics committee, so it is not so good. I don't say that, and just like your question, what is different between the human and the high technology? Yes, actually not all the scientists, they can't say it is good or not for the future. But we must find a safe solution. If we can't say it's absolutely safe, we must wait until we say it very clearly. So it is very clear that these scientists maybe they should change their way of the research direction. As I know, it was not fully approved by the committee. Of course, all the high technology is good, just like you said. It's attendance for the high technology. There's a lot of direction, but that is another thing, that how we use that. It is the science and technology management or ethics problem. We must do it in both sides. I think so.
Thank you so much for your answer.
I want to just add, even though I'm not in hard science, but as a PhD researcher, I also want to respond, as many of my colleagues discussed this with me. I feel this is not a problem like related to China. In this sense, it's not like a Chinese scientist. It's more like a irresponsible scientist. Because he's doing something it's not accepted, not even in China, not even in international academic community. Like Mr. Yang mentioned, I fully agree that when the technology or when the research is not like safe, then we must wait. And the technology he is using actually is not really new in his area. Just it's not like not anybody can do this surgery or not anybody can do this research except him. Just people know the ethical consideration. So nobody will do this based on the consideration of ethics. But he's still there to do it. So it's more like a irresponsible behavior, especially for those two babies. How you can imagine how they live their whole life afterwards. So it's more about experimental. It's not considering the babies as human beings. It's more considering just as a subject of experiment. So it's very irresponsible. Yeah, and this is not Chinese. It's just because it's an irresponsible scientist.
But even if we know that this experiment, if that is safe, but change the gene is always, maybe you think it's unethical.
No, that's another question. Because there's a big debate already in the genetic discussion about whether changing the gene is ethical or unethical. It's another question. Yeah.
And the problem is, if you change the gene of one baby, you don't just change the individual. If the baby gets married and has her own babies, the other gene will finally make its way to the whole human gene pools. And now, at this very stage, we still have no idea what's the side effect of changing CCR5. Maybe knock out CCR5, the HIV will not have its way to infect cells. But we don't know what happens else. If it's a change of immunity somehow, we still have no ideas. It probably will take a lot of years until we figure out the side effects. For example, I remember this kind of medicine. There are a lot of examples in medicines. Well, at first, people think the medicine is safe, but after years, a lot of defect baby become to show. Then people will start to know the side effect of it, but it's already too late. A lot of people have got defected because of this sort at the time very advanced, very benefit, but we use it later, it actually have side effects, very serious side effects. So before we fully understand how the CCR5 works, we should not produce such experiment on human embryo, let alone produce babies. Thank you. That's my opinion.
I want to ask a question to Sakri, because as Mr. Yang also mentioned, that Chinese students as international talent is quite important for the Finnish and Chinese collaboration in science and technology in all areas. But from the city's perspective, do you see like is there, because as an international talent, or maybe I don't know, I'm very too confident to call myself international talent, but as an international student or researcher here in Tampere community or in Finland, we also want to know how can we get involved in this collaboration, how to, if there are any approaches or initiatives from the city side or from the Finland side, that as a, we are also citizens in Finland, even though not like this, not citizenship, but like we are the residents in Finland. We also want to contribute to this Finnish-Chinese collaboration. Yeah. So if there are any approaches or opportunities you can see that can share with us. Yeah.
Well, maybe you even know better the situation. I think you are working like full time on this, but can you actually share your thoughts?
Yeah, and I can speak some. What is their way for Tampere? Difficult to say because I'm not very well or know detail about this. But I can say it in generally, and also before, and we also changed the idea. They ask the students is they are very interested in that when they graduate, where they can find a job, where is better. I also think about it. I think at the beginning, first I would like to share some date that last year there is about 600,000 students go abroad to study, 600. And also this year there is 480,000 students. This means that this number, 80% of this number of students, they back to China. Of course, they are not same people, because this year, I can't say that 80% students back, but this is just happened in the same year. This is the tendency that a lot of people back to China,
And also, of course, as I experienced, a lot of students, they stay in Finland. They work very well, and after they graduate, they find a job here, also find job in Finland. Also, they find very good job in China. Now, and Chinese company can provide very good salary, not so bad than Finland. And especially the opportunity is not so bad. But Finland is an innovative country. The environment is very good, and the living standard is also very good. And I would like to suggest that for the students, of course, you would like to do. It is very good that you would like to contribute in the future for the cooperation between China and Finland. Rather than to think about where you work, and I think if you now you are still studying in the university, I would suggest that to promote your own technicals, for example, to not only to study the technology or to study the knowledge. Knowledge is not the number one important. You should know more about the local society. For example, to attend the social event of the local society, to know more Finnish friends, to know what Finnish people think, what their behavior, what they want. For example, to know why Nokia became an international giant, and how is that situation. I mean, for example, you should not only study, you should improve them yourself. And in this way, you can do better for the future to promote the Chinese-Finnish cooperation. I think government also have such policy to encourage, but I don't know in very detail. For example, after you graduate, maybe you can have visa for 1 year or 2 years to work here.
Yeah, actually, it's a big problem for the government, because let's say many it's not only the Chinese, but many other international students, especially outside the EU or this economic area, they often leave. They get maybe 1 year permit to stay, and after 1 year, if they don't find a job, they go back to the USA or China. And government actually recognizes this problem, and for instance, they have a new legislation now for startup entrepreneurs, that one can found a company, and for instance, I think this Business Finland is involved in this, so they somehow evaluate your idea, and if it fulfills the criterion, you can get a permit. I think they grant it now for 2 years.
Yeah.
That's in the new legislation. So the government is very well aware of these issues, and then there are, of course, these like softer issues. Let's say like, for instance, kindergartens for international people or that kind of thing. So it's a big issue, and I think then there's even more softer side, this kind of social side of that, and networking and that you describe. So it's all of these things together. And I think that we need to improve. And it's not only even the international students who have this difficulty, even the Finnish people who have been a long time abroad, like myself. I was 8 years abroad. And when I came back, I mean, people replied to me in English on street. Sometimes I don't know why, but it's like, yeah, what made me different. But it was not that easy, because I didn't have the connections really. And many things work here like through these connections, and that's why I encourage to build the connections. And I would say also that there's something that Finnish people and Finnish corporations need to improve. Something in the corporate culture that we need to be more open on recruiting people from different backgrounds. Because there's a little bit of tradition that we hire same kind of people who have been already in the same position before. And of course it goes a long way around. So if you're a Finnish person and doing the same thing for many years, you have certain privilege. So I think it's also the Finnish companies and others that need to improve.
And then,
I could also ask you something, because I see myself as a professional project founder, and so I have been doing that kind of things almost for 25 years. And it's a pity that we don't have more that kind of education in our education here in the university. But anyway, what Jan was saying, that you should be learning all the time. Not only what you study, but also something else. It's the same thing also that you, anyway, the reason why you study something is that you do have some vision about your career. And of course, because you come from China, you have some local counterpart for your ideas anyway. So you could do so that when you travel back home or something like that, you could actually be looking around you, like reflecting what you're doing here, what you're studying, and what this kind of career plan you have. And if you see something which is interesting on the other side, on the far side, you could be bringing it back here during your studies. Because of course we are looking all the time opportunities to collaborate with companies. For example, it could be as well the company you're dreaming of working in China later on after you're graduated. And because in any way in this university we are used to run projects all the time. We don't know what kind of innovations your ideas might be leading to in the collaboration with the company in your home country, for example, and you being engaged in that and ensuring your career actually, or even making doctoral thesis after a few years, or making some speeding of your graduation. Because of course you're much more motivated if you see some concrete counterpart in your homeland. Or you can see then that, well, it was nice connection, you can continue your work here as well with business, which has a connection to China or anything like that. So what I mean is actually that you could be also considering this kind of thing. So I'm also throwing the ball for you as well. But of course we have to be open for that kind of ideas as well here at the university. But at least in the computer sciences, at least in Tauchi and so on, we see that kind of options, of course, open and very exciting. So I think it's also one choice for you as well.
Yeah.
And if you present that kind of ideas, I think it's our responsibility to answer to that as well.
Proactive both sides.
Yeah.
Win-win situation.
Yeah. Last comments, maybe. Yeah.
I would just like to add one small thing. If you are looking for practical tips on how to get involved with something or get better chances of getting a job, maybe you can try to be different from all the other Chinese students here, because we have quite many Chinese people in Tampere actually.
Yeah.
And many are very talented, but also the big Chinese community can be a problem for you, because if you are not really spending a lot of time studying the Finnish language, for example, or having too many Finnish friends, then you don't get so fully integrated into the chances you might encounter otherwise. So if you speak really good Finnish, you will be so impressive here.
So just start going with us here.
Yeah. That's also the Chinese Student and Scholar Association in Tampere trying to do. We're trying to create this kind of platform or bridge for Chinese students to get involved in Finnish society, and also from this way Finnish society to learn about China, a Chinese community, more from us. Yeah. I think we are quite confident we are international talents in Tampere, so we are trying to be the bridge.
Where your
Good idea.
precious talent base here. So.
Yeah.
This is the second Finnspired Sino Talk event I've attended. Both have been very good, and both have had only one Finnish person in the audience besides myself.
Yeah.
So we need to think of more ways to have more locals attend these events also.
Yeah.
This is already a great effort, but
Yeah, that sounds good.
I make something.
Yeah.
Actually, for me, I'm not so young anymore. I see we are the same age.
You are much younger than me.
We are the same age. So for me, now I'm a MBA student in DAMK, and also I have been working in Tampere for 10 years. And I also in Tampere City was a Chinese teacher. Also in different companies I was a consultant. So for me, I can speak Finnish, English, and Chinese. And most of students have been visit me while I work in Tampere City, because one of my job is help the students know Tampere and also to integrate to the Tampere. So for me, if you have some questions about Finnish government or something, society, you can ask me. It doesn't matter. I'm willing to help. But now I was in MBA this degree. I think this degree is my last degree in my life. I'm not willing to do my doctor degree anymore. So I have one dream is to use my knowledge and also use my ability to build up a bridge or platform to help Finnish company or society or Chinese company to cooperate each other. I think I have this ability and knowledge. And for example, just a few days ago, I helped one company or one school to cooperate with Chinese education. And because I was an interpreter and also translator. So during the time, if the Finnish teacher teach in English, then I translate from English to Chinese. If she or he teach in Finnish language, then I translate from English, Finnish to Chinese. So the result is so good. I just get this feedback this morning. They are so good because it means they can cooperate in a very deep way. So in this case, I'm very happy, and I would like to continue this kind of cooperation between Chinese and Finland, because China is my mother land, and Finnish is Finland is my second motherland. So I really want to do it. So from my part, I would like to know in the future what kind of support I can get from Chinese government and also Finnish government, or from you or from you.
I think that's a question from all our talents have the same opinion.
Maybe written answers like that would also be black and white in answers. So.
Yes. Because for me, I have knowledge and I also have affinity.
Yeah, actually, as the government, no matter national government or local government, no matter Chinese government or Finnish government or Tampere government, I think government normally just provide a platform or ecosystem. If do some business, I think both governments would like to promote, but there is a lot of business models, so it is difficult to say that government can do it in detail.
How do you see the role of embassy actually? So could you found this kind of commercial part for in your embassy with stuff?
You mean provide funding?
No, I mean just like resources in your embassy. Because there is history in embassies actually, or commercial groups.
Yeah, there is a commercial.
In important areas like this could be.
Yeah, but our personnel and is limited, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's important, you know, so you would not need to be alone, and then you would be the foreman actually of the commercial embassy part.
Yeah, it's difficult to provide some assistance in more details.
We could be supporting you for that.
Really difficult because there's only totally about 20.
Yes, so we are a small country and China is a big one.
Yeah.
Then there is this contribution we can make.
Okay. Thank you so much for our lively participation, and also many thanks to our guest speakers here. And as to express our sincere gratitude, we on behalf of CSSA-Tampere and the University of Tampere, we also prepare some gifts for our speakers here. Please come to the stage.
Yeah. Please just two speakers.
Yeah, come to the stage
And
and
then
to the center.
This gift is prepared by CSSA Tampere and together with University of Tampere. So Yanni and me will just give you the gift on our behalf. I briefly introduce. This is our university chocolate.
Oh.
It's going to expire in 2 months. So after that you will get this very weird face of the chocolates.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then we really appreciate Finnish culture. So this is it's for you. Yeah, this is
Arabian mark. Arabian is one of the most traditional design houses.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and then also because holiday is coming, so we prepare 2 cruise coupons for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.